welcome to our teaching today. Today, I want to start on a series of lessons I'm calling, well, simply Dream Talks. I just want to talk to you about the biblical process, the biblical concept of dreaming. And dreaming is very important. In fact, we have several outcomes I want to see in your life as a result of learning to dream the dreams that God has for you. In fact, when you wake up to the dream, you really wake up to living. But I've found that many don't understand the concept of dreaming. And when we talk about dreaming, they think of La La Land, or they think of Mary Poppins, or Alice in Wonderland, or something like that. But dreams are the birthplace of goals, and dreams and visions are one of the primary ways that God leads you. Well, here are some of the outcomes you can expect. I want you to understand the biblical foundation of dreaming with God. Remember Joseph, the dreamer. Next, I want to help you to identify your personal God-given dream. What is your dream? In fact, Joseph's father asked after Joseph shared the dream of God, what is this dream that you have? Next, we want to help you to discern the voice of God versus fantasy. We've all heard of the pipe dream. What's a pipe dream? It's a dream when you've been smoking too much of that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Come on, y'all. All right, but a pipe dream is a fantasy, and that's not what we're talking about. Another outcome is to protect and pursue your dream with intention. You're going to learn how to pursue a specific dream with intention. And finally, I want to help you to live with purpose, discipline, and spiritual fire. So we're not talking about lacking the fire of the spiritual life, the fire of the Spirit in our lives. We need to be filled with the Spirit and dreaming the dreams of God. So we are talking about dreams, and I want to pursue this in a real, well, almost seminar-like fashion, because I want to teach you the concept and show you how to implement or apply the dream process in your life. And I believe it's that important. It's a subject that most of us have misunderstood. The dream is awakening God's grand design for your life. When God gives you a dream, in that dream is his divine design, you could say. So what I want to do is help you to, well, rediscover your dream. Many of you as children had dreams. You dreamed of this, you dreamed of that. But what happens is as we grow up and we face what's called the reality of life, or we get into the school of hard knocks instead of the college of excellence, we start learning some things about life that dreams don't always come true. It's kind of like the song, Midnight Train to Georgia. You should listen to the lyrics of that. One thing Gladys Knight said in that was the guy found out that dreams don't always come true. And the guy took the midnight train back to Georgia from LA. All right, so that's a little pop culture, but those songs, many of them have a message. So what we're saying is we need to learn to awaken to the dream that God has given us and how to live that dream. Now, many people will tell you, you're just dreaming. Dreams don't come true. Well, dreams do come true if they're the dreams of God and if you know how to practice and live out the dream. So we're simply doing some dream talks. I see myself personally as a shepherd to people. I was reading in the Bible last week and I saw where Moses went to deliver the people out of Egypt. And one thing the guy said is Pharaoh basically didn't like shepherds, or how do they say it? Shepherds are an abomination to the Egyptians. So they put the children of Israel in the land of Goshen, got them away from the Egyptians. So it's interesting that shepherds would be an abomination. I believe that goes all the way back to the seed of how the enemy of our souls does not, he wants to hinder, he wants to steal and kill and destroy, and doesn't like us cared for and shepherded. So we want to shepherd you with some dream talk. Is that all right? The purpose of this series is to awaken believers to the God-given capacity to dream, to live with divine purpose, and to understand the spiritual foundations of vision, and to provide practical and biblical principles to nurture, protect, and to realize those dreams. I spent time this week really thinking about this series quite a bit, and I wanted to hit the mark and help you to realize your God-given dream. Dreams do come true. Well, thank you so much for joining us for Dream Talks, as we simply talk about the concept of dreaming. Now, what does the Bible say about dreaming? One thing we have reconciled is that the Bible is truth. The Bible is the Word of God. And if you want to find the answer to anything, go to the Bible. How many of you often have dreams? Some people are prolific dreamers. And when they dream stuff, it typically comes true, or it's an indication or accurate. Now, I believe that some dream more than others. And in fact, with some of the offices and callings of God, dreaming is more a part of it than others. Other people, they despise dreams. They hate dreams. And they even want to kill the dreamer. Now, there's a reason for that, because dreaming is a biblical principle. Say after me, dreaming is a biblical principle. Cheers. Do you have anything in that cup? Yeah, I really do. I'm not just staging here. I'm enjoying my beverage. Get yours. Okay. Now, so what are some key scriptures about dreaming? Ecclesiastes 5:3, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 3 says, dreams come through much activity. The King James brings out, I believe, that a dream comes through much busyness. Jeremiah 29:11, one of my favorites, says, God plans for hope and future for our lives. He has a plan for our future. He said, I know the plans I have for you. Joel 2:28 teaches us that dreams and visions are poured out by the Holy Spirit. So even in the book of Acts chapter 2, this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel, visions and dreams. Genesis 37 shows us that Joseph had a dream of destiny. Ephesians 3:20 teaches that God is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine. And the Greek brings out he can do more than we can dream. Acts 2:17, which we referred to earlier, shows that dreaming is the fulfillment of Joel's prophecy. And finally, Ecclesiastes 5:7 speaks of vanity of many dreams, but fearing God. Now, it's talking about just dreaming for the sake of dreaming. It's not saying that dreaming is vain. See, dreaming is such an elusive concept that, are you hearing me? It's so elusive that people will think you're weird. When you talk about dreaming, I mean, what do we think of the dreamers in our families, the dreamers in our businesses, the dreamers in our schools or our lives? We're almost like Joseph's brothers. Here comes that dreamer. Let us behold and see what will become. In fact, let's throw him in a pit. Then we'll see what's going to happen to his dream. So that alone tells us dreaming must be a biblical concept, because the sower sows the word, and Satan comes immediately to take out that word that was sown. And Satan, that acronym I like, is seeing anything as negative. Negativity will come to stop you from dreaming and to steal your dream. But remember, dreaming is a biblical concept. Well, thank you so much for joining me. In this first talk, I want to talk to you some about the divine design of dreams. That dreaming is the divine design. In fact, you were born to dream with God. Say after me, I was born to dream with God. Say it again. I was born to dream with God. Say it once more. I was born to dream with God. In fact, dreams are the key to your destiny. The key or the keys to your destiny, because I believe you will have numerous dreams along the path of life. But when you're dreaming, God is talking to you. God is touching the human spirit, and we will show you why. Remember, you were born to dream with God. Dreams are a reflection of your divine identity. Dreams are a reflection of your divine identity. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, Genesis 1:26 said that man is made in God's image. When you're dreaming, you are on the periphery of godlikeness because you start creating something out of nothing and you actually become a mini creator. Now, let's say you have a dream to start a business and you're dreaming of a business that no one started yet. I'm not just talking about, opening a McDonald's, and there's nothing wrong with that. But McDonald's, Ray Kroc had a dream and that dream came to pass. Bill Gates had a dream to have a computer on every desk. That dream came to pass. Steve Jobs had a dream to have the greatest company in the world, and I believe Apple has achieved that. So when we talk about dreaming, we're talking about creating something where nothing existed before. Now, it's not like business didn't exist. Steve Jobs didn't come up with the first business. Cheers. But with the Apple concept, he had a dream and he lived out that dream, and that dream is still producing billions of dollars. Now, here's an interesting thing. I've been thinking a lot about billionaires lately. Millionaires, no, billionaires. Say billionaires. Billionaires. B, like Bernard. Okay. All billionaires are dreamers. Now, think of a billionaire that's not a dreamer. I was listening to Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, talk recently. And he was talking about how he obtained the Dallas Cowboys. And the Reader's Digest version is that he took all the money he had and put it into an oil rig in Texas. Well, that oil rig hit a gusher and he made millions of dollars. And he said immediately, he said to himself, I know what I'm going to do with this money. And he bought the Dallas Cowboys. But when you listen to him talk he talked about how he dreamed of owning the Dallas Cowboys. And he was dreaming of hitting it rich with oil to the point that he took a big risk. He said he put all the money he had into this oil rig. He said either he was going to dream big and win or lose his shirt. All right. Dreams are the birthplace of goals. Dreams create something out of nothing. Dreaming is a reflection of your divine identity. You could say that dreaming is the grandeur of life. What is the grandeur of life? Well, that means the awe of life, the awe, A-W-E, when something is awesome. The grandeur of life begins with our capacity to imagine. Don't you realize you have the capacity to imagine? You can be sitting wherever you are or standing wherever you are, listening to me right now, and you can imagine yourself being in Hawaii. Why not do that? You say, well, I've never been to Hawaii. Well, let's go to Hawaii. How? In our imagination. See, in your imagination, you can imagine the beach. You can imagine an ocean, can't you? Maybe you've never been to Hawaii, but come on, you've seen an ocean. Who hadn't? So you can imagine the water. Imagine standing there and the water hitting your legs. You say, yeah, because I don't swim. I'm not going out there. There may be sharks out there. Don't imagine that. Now, the interesting thing about the imagination is it's working well because, for instance, you just imagine sharks. The imagination by default will go to negativity if you don't train and program it. But you can imagine being in LA. LA? Lower Alabama? No, Los Angeles. You can imagine being in Manhattan. You can imagine being in Miami. You can right where you are, take yourself anywhere you want to go in imagination. Now, some people knock that and some people kind of belittle it, but that's God working in you. See, God will give you a dream of you owning a business. And now it's up to you to imagine being in that business. The power of the imagination is tremendous. Scripture says, nothing shall be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. So don't tell me imagination is not powerful. Why do you think the apostle said, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God? See, things will come to your imagination that are not good, and evil imagination will lead to evil manifestation. And we've dwelt so much on that, but I'm here in these dream talks to talk to you about good imagination. Why? God gives dreams as the first glimpse of destiny. It's a glimpse into destiny. Like you will dream of yourself being in a building, maybe with 10,000 people, and then they call you to the stage and you're the presenter or the speaker. And then when you wake up, you're in a cold sweat. It's like James Brown. I break out, dun, 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 in a cold sweat, dun, 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 brah. Yeah. I used to play the drums on a lot of that stuff. Okay, so we want to stay practical here. The key thought is to dream is to stand on the edge of destiny. And by the way, if you've never heard of the Destiny Program by Peter Daniels, you need to check it out. You can by going to my website, which is centerforim.com, Center for I Am, and click on the tab that says Destiny College, and we'll take you on a destiny journey. Dreams are the birthplace of goals, the birthplace of goals. Well, thank you so much for joining me for Dream Talks. Now let's talk some about getting practical here and developing a practical focus. And I simply want you to think about two things in this practical focus so that we put this to work. First of all, you need to understand that dreams are a gift of God and not a fantasy. Okay, now I know there are false dreams, there are fantasies, but I'm talking about the God-given dream for your life. What is this dream that you have? What is the God-given dream? See, many have stopped dreaming. And I believe the poorest souls are the souls that have no dream. Just think of people living their life with no dream. They're just living to eat, to drink, and to be merry, or to be with Mary, or Sally, or Joe, or Sue, or Boo, or whoever. They just want to be with someone, and it could be a sexual relationship because they're bored. It could be, well, I don't want to get too negative here, but it could be a relationship where you're involved with business people that don't mean well. And there are folks going to jail for doing the wrong thing. So when I say dream, I'm not just talking about you going out there just doing anything. I don't teach if it feels good, do it. If it is good, do it. Now, if it is good, it will often lead to good feelings, but it may not feel good in the beginning. Well, how come me to get off on that? Okay, don't shout me down, okay, because I'm preaching good. But we're talking about a dream that's a gift from God, not a fantasy, not dreaming of having sex with someone that you've always wanted to, because dreams, again, are many faceted. But the purity of the dream is when God shows you something, and it could be in the night when you're sleeping, when you're literally laying there, and it becomes a dream, or it could be just a desire of your heart. But the first thing is to understand dreams are a gift of God. Dreams are not fantasy. in order to connect with that, I want you to think about the second thing, which is how childhood dreams point to spiritual potential. Childhood dreams point to spiritual potential. All right, like I remember now when I think back on it, when I was a little boy, certain people would just point at me and say, "You're a preacher. You're a preacher. You're going to preach." I remember one individual in particular, just about every time we went to his house, he would say, "You're going to be a preacher." All right. And I was just a little boy. I didn't know what a preacher was. A preacher? No, a preacher. All right. Now, personally, I'm not ashamed of the gospel. Preaching the gospel is good, but my ministry is different. It's more teaching than preaching, but I don't correct people if they call me a preacher or a minister or whatever. Some people call me Dr. Smalls. Okay. I don't correct those people. All right. Now, as a kid, I started thinking about preaching. But when I got to be 10 years old, I started playing the drums, and I went a totally other direction because I got into the clubs, the bands, and so on. And by the time I was about 16, I think we opened for the OJs. I was around 16, 17. 18, we were on a gig with the Commodores and Lionel Richie, and then went to California playing music, pursuing a deal with Motown. And guess what I got away from? Thinking about being a preacher. I'm a drummer. While in California, to fast forward, I accepted Christ. And guess what rose up in me first? You're a preacher. Immediately, I started reading the Bible. I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all within the first week. In fact, I read so much that when I got through Matthew and I started reading Mark, I started saying, wait a minute, I read this before. And then in John, I saw some of the same stories. And I thought, this Bible is broke. It's got the same stories over and over. And then I found out later, no, it's 4 Gospels written in synoptic ways from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John's point of view of their eyewitness of Jesus' ministry. The Bible ain't broke. By the way, I fasted, I think it was 3 days, like the first 3 days or so, within the first week, I know it was, when I gave my life to Jesus Christ. So teaching and preaching the word was rooted in me from the dream of my heart, and then God started to bring it out. So when people see me doing what I'm doing now, they think you're just trying to be the next Steve Harvey. There's one guy who's always calling me Steve Harvey's brother. Well, no, I'm not trying to be famous. I'm not trying to be popular. I am here to do the will of God because it's a part of the dream. Now, if the dream leads to popularity or leads to fame, so be it. Bring it on, baby. But I'm here not to be famous. Jesus was famous, but he wasn't out to be famous, but he did have a marketing man called John the Baptist. And John the Baptist went before him declaring the dream. So what is this dream? We've done some speaking on dream talks. Well, let's summarize what we talked about. I hope you enjoyed our teaching today. First of all, we said that the dream is awakening God's grand design in you. And we talked about the fact that we need to rediscover our God-given dream. And we said that to awaken believers to their God-given capacity to dream is a part of our mission here. We gave you several key scriptures to show you that dreaming is biblical. And I trust that you're not ashamed of the Bible. The Bible is the best book on the planet. Do you know that the Bible is the #1 selling book on the planet in the history of the world? Amazon ain't got nothing on the Bible, folks. All right. We talked about the divine design of dreams, that you were born to dream, and that dreaming is a reflection of your divine identity. And if you get anything out of today's teaching, that's what I want you to get. Dreaming is godlike. And we talked about a practical focus, why dreams are a gift, not a fantasy, and how you need to rehook reconnect with your childhood dream and your spiritual potential. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I want you to visit us on the internet, and I want you to go to this particular site. Go to centerforim.com, CENTRE for IM.com. And there we have a program called the Destiny Program. In fact, if you click on the tab that says Destiny College, it'll take you to the program. And if you want a baptism by fire in dreaming, I mean, you want to really move into visioning your mission, your dream, your life's goals, go ahead and enroll in the Destiny Program, which is put together by Dr. Peter J. Daniels, who is my success mentor. And I'm an affiliate with his program, helping distribute Destiny in America. And I've gone through it probably, I think, 3 times, the whole thing, and I'm going through it again. And every time I go through it, I learn so much more. Folks, this program will change your life. Destiny of the Third Millennium. And you just click on the tab that says Destiny College, which is really just a portal we put together to take you to the excellent teachings and trainings and program of Dr. Peter Daniels. I believe it's the best program of such in the whole world. And folks, I have tried just about every program out there. Destiny of the Third Millennium. Go ahead to centerforim.com and click on it. If you want to support us financially, go to prevailingwordnow.com and click on the Giving tab. And remember, million is spelled M. Just having a little fun with you. Any gift you give is appreciated. And seriously, we do have expenses, and we are taking the word to the world digitally and having a great impact. Every week I'm talking to people internationally who have tuned in, and it's really taking off in a positive way. We're not bragging or pounding our chests here. We want to glorify God. That's what this is all about. But your gifts help us to reach people. So whenever you give, whenever you tithe, whenever you give an offering, you help us. That is prevailingwordnow.com. Go to the Giving tab. Remember, when you give, it is given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shake it together, running over. And if you want to give by mail, it's Prevailing Word Pavilion, P.O. Box 724, Swanee, Georgia, 30024. Well, I trust that you've enjoyed this teaching on Dream Talks. And we're going to continue this series if the Lord allows. In fact, we've got enough stuff for weeks of teaching. And this is a topic that you have to build on, here a little, there a little, line upon line, and we'll just follow the Holy Spirit. And keep us in your prayers. And by the way, if you're hooked up with us, I pray for you every day that the spirit of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of Him is manifested in your life. And may God expand your life until your destiny is fulfilled. I'll see you next week.
He'll remind you, I know the plans I have for you, to bring you peace with an expected end, for you know I has seen or ear has heard the joy in store for your expected end, your expected